What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring the new Nouvelles cards, but before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. Clicking on those notification bells would also mean a lot as they notify you when I upload on the channel. So the first card that we have here is the field spell, and it reads when this card is activated, you can add one recipe card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So that alone is a nice effect as you're able to get a recipe card directly from your deck or recurring it from the graveyard. Once per turn, you can place one ritual monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck, draw one card. Once per turn during your end phase, you can target two cards in your graveyard, including a recipe card, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, then draw one card. You can only activate one Nouvelles field spell per turn. I would like to point out that in the second replay, I made a mistake where I happened to misclick on the end phase instead of doing the effect to draw, which kind of set me back a little bit, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, as we're then going to start this one by activating the terraforming. And I'm activating the terraforming because this is the least impactful thing that our opponent can control, as we're able to just show that we're on the Libromancer stuff, but don't necessarily reveal what we're playing, as we also don't invest any of our monsters on board, and we don't want to reveal the Nouvelles field spell, of course, as we're going to use the Libromancer field spell in order to get the fire. Now we can use the effect of the Herald as we normal summon it in order to send the Herald from our extra deck to the graveyard, use its effect in order to get us our next new card here, and this is the Nouvelles Ritual level 3, and this is probably the best one of the low level ones, as it reads you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card. You can only use each of the following effects of the level 3 once per turn, and I'm not going to pronounce their names because I don't want to butcher them, but if this card is special summoned, you can draw one card. When a card or effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, or when a monster is targeted for an attack quick effect, you contribute both one Nouvelles monster you control and one attack position monster on the field, and if you do, special summon one level 4 or 5 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. So a couple of things I would like to point out about that. The draw is very nice as you're able to couple it with the field spell and just get even more advantage. But the next thing that I want to talk about really, and this is more about the con, is that it's kind of a sitting duck until something is targeted, and it also means that your opponent has to have something in attack position if you want to make the full value out of this. So we're going to continue this hand here as we're going to activate the fire. We'll use its effect in order to get a search for the Doombroker. From here we can then use the two monsters on board to go into our Baron. We'll then activate the field spell as we'll bring out the Doombroker by tributing the driver, use the Doombroker to get the intervention, and the intervention is nice because it does target a Libromancer ritual monster you control, so that would trigger the level 3, but from here we're then going to use the Geek in order to bring itself out, which is also conveniently level 3. We'll get the Libromancer field spell from our deck to our hand as we're now going to activate the Nouvelles spell, and this will be able to get us the new and the first of the two Nouvelles ritual spells that we'll be getting, the Fish recipe. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nouvelles ritual monster. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summon. Then if you ritual summon the level 1 with this effect, you can apply the following effect. Add one recipe ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So a very nice card that allows you to get into your other recipes as long as it's not another copy of Fish recipe, but we're then going to use its effect here as we're going to bring out the level 3, and this will get us into a draw. We don't have any ritual monster to put back with the field spell on this one, so we'll just go to the end phase where we're going to get a draw one anyways, and we'll get into a talent, which is unfortunate. We are on stuff like Ogre Troll, so we just didn't see the half of the going second cards that we wanted to see here, as our opponent is going to activate the Imperm. Here you can see that we don't want to use the Nouvelles stuff, of course, because there's nothing that we could benefit by not tributing our opponent's monsters, and nothing that our cards necessarily do at this point in time that make it worth tributing the level 3. So from here we're just going to let that resolve, as our opponent is then going to activate the terraforming. They'll get themselves a fusion gate, and from here they're going to go directly into the battle phase, which is weakness number 2. Our intervention is forced, and we don't have the ability to freely use the level 3 at any point we want, as we're going to bring the fire now, and our opponent still has no attack position monster, so now it's fully dependent on them targeting something for it to go off. So we're going to go to the main phase 2 where our opponent is going to summon the claws, use its effect as they're going to get the search for the fusion, turn. And now they can activate the Fusion Gate as they're going to use its effect as they'll be able to go into their Chimera. Chimera will get a random discard from our hand on our end phase as they'll get the Doom Broker, which was unfortunate, but they didn't know that as we do draw and they do scoop. So this was a quick replay, and I want to point out that they're both quick replays as I wanted to keep the video somewhat realistic because quite frankly, you're just not going to get these off too often unless you have a way to trigger them yourself. Now for the second replay, and this really shows more of the cons and pros in some scenarios. I guess it depends on the matchup, but as you can see, our opponent opened the God card Mathematics Circular, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but it really does feel like that because it's just capable of so much. But we're going to use the Talismandra in order to get ourselves the level 3 Nouvelles, and then from here we'll activate the Fish Recipe, we'll tribute off the Talismandra, we'll then be able to get ourselves the level 2. So I do want to point out that you'll see that I went to end phase and I didn't use the effect of the field spell, so this kind of messed us up as we're then going to go to the end phase where we'll just get a draw 1 instead of a draw 2. Now keep in mind we likely wouldn't have been able to do much anyways, but our opponent is then going to top deck the Preparation of Rites, I think, as they get themselves a Mikanko. They'll use the effect of the Ohime in order to get themselves the Reflection Rondo, I think it is. And it just provides them an out, and it's the Arabesque, not the Rondo. But from here they're then going to use its effect as they'll be able to bring out their Trap Searcher, and then they can just return our guy to the hand. And from here our opponent has Mathematics Circular, which by itself is literally game. As you'll see, they're going to bring out the Sigma, go into the Allen Burschen as they're going to get a search for the Superfactorial, and then from here they can use its effect in order to get themselves a search for the Diameter. Basic Mathematics stuff here as they're just going to normal summon the Diameter, get back the Circular. From here they can go into their Splash Mage as they'll use the Splash Mage to bring back the Diameter. Now they'll go into their Update Jammer as we're just going to concede on that because from here there's no point in playing it out. So very quick replays, and I didn't even get to resolve one Nouvelles monster, and I tried really hard to get it for this video, but it just was not happening. And you'll see that I am on a low Nouvelles count overall. I wanted to make a more pure version for this video now that we're closer to the set release. I did happen to feature a Dogmatica version that is somewhere up on my channel. I'll have a link down to it on the description. As of now, the only ones that I'm choosing to play, and it's because the only ones I think are worth it, are the level 3, the level 5, the level 6, and the level 2 is a flex bot. I don't even know if we should be playing this, but I also do want to point out that I do like the Fire Burst and the Origin in this deck. I was feeling that I was missing them when I wasn't playing them, and I was worried that it might be too much engine, but the thing is that the Fire Burst just really does help you going second in some hands, while the Origin is just that extra piece extending while also allowing you to get over stuff that kind of really matters. But then I also want to point out, you'll see that I'm not on the level 1 or the level 4. The level 1 reads you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card. You can only use each of the following effects of the level 1 once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 excavated Nouvelles card from your deck to your hand. So basically, it's an excavator that has to hit, and even though it is 5, it still has to hit, and also shuffle the rest into the deck. When a card or effect is activated that targets specifically this card, or when this specific card is targeted for an attack quick effect, you contribute both this card and 1 other attack position monster on the field, and if you do, special summon 1 level 2 or 3 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. Now, this takes me to the level 2, where the level 2 is similar in the sense that this card needs to specifically be targeted for an effect or an attack in order to bring out a level 3 or 4 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. But the main difference is you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card, you can only use each effect of the level 2 once per turn, and if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 spell trap card on the field, destroy it. That is the main reason why you see it on this deck list. It is a spell and trap popper, which I can see coming up. It does have some valid targets like Kashtira Birth. There's also a potential Waka Flocka you could hit if your opponent happens to have it on their scale from follow up whenever they get it back, but you can also also hit leftover Benkeis, and I know that those aren't the greatest examples because they usually have full negate boards, but you also do play a lot of hand traps that do counter them. And from here we're then going to see the level 4, as we also don't play this, and this one reads that you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card. You can only use each of the following effects of the level 4 once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target up to 3 cards in any graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. So do keep in mind that this will have its formats. It's not a terrible card, I just don't think it's the one for it right now, as long as Arise Heart is in the format. But when a card or effect is activated that targets a monster on the field, or when a monster is targeted for an attack, quick effect, you contribute both one Nouvelles monster you control and one attack position monster you control, or one attack position monster on the field, and if you do, special summon one level 5 or 6 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. So this is the one that gets you into your level 5 and 6 along with the level 3, as your level 3 is able to get you into the 5 and the 5 gets you into the 6, but the 5 reads that you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card. You can only use each of the following effects of the level 5 once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add one Nouvelles or recipe card from your deck to your hand, so that alone is really good. But you can target one opponent's attack position monster, tribute it, and if you do, special summon one level 6 Nouvelles ritual monster from your hand or deck. This is a quick effect if this was special summoned by a Nouvelles monster's effect. So again, a solid card, just not a lot of solid ways to get into it at the moment, as you are forced to rely on your opponent to do something in order for you to want to use your Nouvelles. You also do need the attack position monster, which is kind of like the key thing. Having everything go your way is really the key thing. But we'll then see that we have the level 6, and it reads, you can ritual summon this card with any recipe card. You can only use each of the following effects of the level 6 once per turn. You can negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls as possible until the end of the turn. If this card was special summoned by a Nouvelles monster's effect, tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible. Quick effect, you can target one opponent's attack position monster, tribute it, and if you do, special summon one Hungry Burger from your hand or deck. So now the only kind of bad thing about this is that we don't play the Hungry Burger. We don't want to play the extra brick. We aren't able to get the extra tribute, but you are able to tribute your opponent's entire field and also potentially negate cards, so that's crazy on its own. I just don't think it's worth playing all these extra potential dead cards when you have a core of potentially solid cards that you have here with just a 5, and then being able to commit the rest of your deck space to consistency, which I feel is just more important. You're also able to play going second cards, which is just another extremely important thing this format, because if you don't have space for going second this format, you're just going to get locked out of the game by way too many things, whether it be a Rise Heart, whether it be Nor, whether it be full super heavy board, or whether it be Naturia Beast and Naturia Runic, which is another potential hard counter that this deck has, where you're put on a drawn out. So I do want to point that out. There's also stuff out there like Dark Angel that can also really hurt this deck if you don't have a counter to that. So just some thoughts that I have for you there. Then I also want to go over the counter trap here, and this is the final new card that we'll be getting. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a Nouvelles ritual monster, negate the activation, and if you control a monster special summoned by a Nouvelles monster's effect, you can destroy that card. If you special summon Hungry Burger, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible. You can only use each effect of the chef's specialty recipe once per turn. So a crazy card on its own that allows you to do extra stuff if you have the Hungry Burger, but the fact it's an Omni Negate does come up. It just doesn't come up enough currently. We don't have a big enough engine. I feel like in the Dogmatic version, you are able to gas out your deck a little bit more with stuff like Nadir's Servant and all the possible combination of stuff that you have in order to get extra deck stuff to the graveyard, which can prompt multiple Herald effects, which just make it a little bit easier to bring out. But in this particular deck, I just don't recommend it unless you're sideboarding it. Now, with all of that out of the way, I'm just going to get on to the deck profile. You'll see that I have another bunch of cards here. This is just from a combo version that you can play. I'll leave a link to that down below. Also meant to trigger your own Nouvelles by overextending on your own plays and really committing a lot of resources into having stuff that can target your own Nouvelles so that you can continue to climb up and make bigger boards. But again, you kind of do run through a lot of resources that way. That's why I don't think it's competitively viable. So for the first card here, we have the Chalice Slime. we have the Talismandra, the Candle. I wanted to play this small engine because I feel like being able to get the body on board for the Nouvelles stuff is huge. You're also able to get a search, and because of how consistent the deck is in regards to getting its pieces, just having the small engine felt like it solidified it even more. Then we do have the Diviner, we have the Fireburst and the Doombroker, the Intervention, the Terraforming, the Geek, and the Fires for our engine, along with field spells that we play here, the Nouvelles and the Libromancer one. We also have the Origin, then we have the Preparation of Rites, we have the 2 level 3s, the 1 level 5, the 1 level 6, the 1 level 2, and we have the Driver, we have the 2 ritual spells, and the Meat Recipe I haven't read yet, actually. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nouvelles ritual monster. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster you ritual summoned. And if you ritual summon the level 2 with this effect, you can apply the following effect. Change all opponents' defense position monsters to face up attack position. So this can help you either tribute stuff or beat over it, which is important to note, and that's why I think that it does have a place in this deck. But then we have our 3 Ogres, the 1 Thrust, the 2 Talents, the 3 Drolls, and the 3 Gammas to round out the main deck. To the extra deck, we have the Access Code, we have the Nephthys, which also, talking about the Nightmare Unicorn that we do play here, I do want to point out that there are some scenarios where you may be able to end on a Lambda or a Masquerena, maybe even Dynamondo, but then you can also climb up into your Unicorn during grind games to go into this and target your own stuff. But I think that if you want to target your own stuff, it's going to be niche little stuff like that does it first, and we should probably wait on more support to see what happens. But then we have the Farajit. This slot is actually meant to be Chaos Angel. You'll see that it has no art, so we aren't able to play it, or at least I'm not playing it until we do get the arts. And we do have the Garura, which, again, you don't have to play this either, I don't think. Then we do have the 2 Entis, the 2 Heralds, the 1 Omega, the 1 Axel, and the 1 Baron to round out the deck profile. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.